almost beat Denver.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kings 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. And this episode of Locked On Spurs is brought to you by Sweatblock. Yes, Sweatblock is back, everybody. And if you or someone you love experiencing embarrassing sweat or odor, try Sweatblock. Save 20% with promo code LOCKEDON at sweatblock.com. Also available on Amazon. The boys almost did it. It was a slugfest at the AT&T Center last night. The Spurs really, you can just see they wanted to win that game versus the Nuggets in that home series. They want to get a little measure of revenge. They almost put it off, but hey, lessons learned. We're going to be talking about what happened last night versus Denver, what went wrong for the Spurs, what went right, and we're going to play the game again. Give me two things that makes you smile from the Spurs loss. Who was helping me? He is back, everybody. Rudy Campos will sweep the league. Always willing to help me out with these recaps. Rudy, do you have the coffee on right now? Because it was a late game.
Yeah, I'm on my third cup of coffee. I'm not gonna lie, I dozed off in the fourth a little bit, but I was
all the quarters
at
too.
the end of all the quarters. Yeah, but I'm an old man, Jeff. I'm on old man syndrome here.
Hey, I'm older than you, and I stayed up.
You live a young lifestyle. I'm an old
That's
family
right.
man here.
Yeah, there's our mutual friend Michael Jimenez with San Antonio Sports Star. He says that me and Pledger, the other sports guy, we have the youth gene. Like no matter what we do, we're still gonna stay young. So maybe
I agree with Michael on that.
All right, well, let's not keep up Rudy too long because he had a long night with that game. But let's dive into it. Rudy, we'll get into the numbers in the next segment, but let's start with the eye test. I always think the eye test tells us a lot. And this Spurs team, my goodness, you can tell from right out of the gate, they wanted to win this game versus Denver. They punched Denver in the mouth. They got off to the hot start. They're the ones that jumped on Denver, and they made it competitive. Now, the Spurs, they did lose 115-109. They're on a 4-game losing skid. Record is 5-6 now. But this team, once again, proves it has fight no matter what, Rudy.
Yeah, this team is fighting to the very end. And we're talking about the San Antonio Spurs, who narrowly lost to the Denver Nuggets. Now, I've got Denver winning the NBA championship. I think they're deep. They go so far deep down the bench. I mean, you've got probably 10 players that can definitely come in and get you points night in, night out. But what I liked about the Spurs is the scrappiness, something that you've talked about the entire season so far is they're going to be a scrappy team. You saw Keldon ball out, Devin added 17. You saw Richardson come off the bench to give 22. It's just kind of a balanced team, but, more so ever, it just shows that they're going to be in a lot of games. They may not win a lot of them, but they're going to be competitive in every single one of them just about.
Yeah, and again, that eye test, you could just see, to the bitter end, they wanted it. And look, there might be something brewing in San Antonio as the season goes on. You're looking at Keldon Johnson, who led the team with 30 points, another 30-point outing for him this season. You had Devin Vassell scoring, and you had Trey Jones, a guy who was a second-round pick, just showing up. Even did a George Gervin-esque finger roll shot wearing the OG Classic Edition jerseys. Loved it. Mentioned Keldon Johnson with 30 points on the night. Devin Vassell had 17 points. Trey Jones, 20 points, 9 assists, and 3 steals, and also 3 rebounds. I kind of like that little young budding triple threat the Spurs got.
Yeah, and, Trey's a guy, like we've been mentioning off and on, a lot of the shows, the fact that he's just going to give you everything you need. He's going to score. He's going to get you some assists, going to get you some boards, play some good defense. He's going to fill the stat sheet. This trio of guards, I mean, Keldon, Devin, and Trey, it's looking really, really good. And let's be real. I mean, if you could imagine if Blake didn't get hurt amidst the Primo stuff, I mean, Blake would be a tremendous asset right next to Devin and Keldon, and he would be able to spell trade during these moments in games. But I like this trio. I'm hoping we see the return of the Sohan pretty soon here, because if you can add him to the mix, they're going to be a very tough out for a lot of these NBA teams.
Yeah, once again, Sohan showing that he's still a rookie, learning things. Didn't have the greatest of nights. Again, we'll get into his numbers shortly. But the Spurs, yes, you look at what they did, at least for 3 3/4 of the game. I think one of the biggest lessons they got to learn, this young team, is you got to play every single minute. And that fourth quarter is where the wheels came off late. Did you at least wake up for that late period, that final moments, Rudy? Because that's where the wheels came off for the Spurs. 7 turnovers in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna do it. That ain't gonna do it, Rudy.
Yeah, I was able to watch that part, and yeah, that was the difference of the game. I mean, if they don't commit those turnovers, I'd say maybe give them 1 or 2. That would be okay. But the 7 turnovers, that's just what cost you the game. And you know what? That's the inexperience that we talked about. This team is not experienced compared to like the Denver Nuggets, who's a veteran-led team by Nikola Jokic.
Yeah. Yeah. Josh Richardson had a bulk of those turnovers in that fourth. He had 6 on the night. Not to discount what he did. Again, we'll go to numbers later, but again, showing that he could be a steady force and also upping his trade value as well, perhaps, for the Spurs. Overall, though, I like the grit. I like the fight. They're going to learn. You saw that Denver talent take over, especially with Joker. Joker came on in that fourth quarter. He finished the night for Denver. I believe he led the team with 26 points. That is correct. But nevertheless, that talent that the Spurs, I'd say they're not talented. They are talented. They're in the NBA for a reason. They're talented. But that next level up, that next upper crust level, like your Nikola Jokic, are going to step in and do what they got to do to get W's, Rudy.
Yeah, and it's the same thing, man. Talent's going to outshine this Spurs team, because you've got a veteran Denver Nuggets team. All these guys have played together for a very long time. I mean, you've got guys like Jamal Murray coming back from injury. I mean, you compare him to Trey Jones. Of course, Jamal's going to be a better player. But you got to also understand is that this first team is young. You're going to get a lot of these games. You're going to have at the edge of your seat. They're going to be there. They're going to be at the very end. But ultimately, it's going to be turnovers, man. Turnovers is going to be that one word you're going to always talk about all season long. When you have a young team, when you have a team that hasn't really played together a whole lot, there's going to be a ton of turnovers. It's a learning curve. But, hey, you got to look at the positive side. And the overall positive is probably one of the best teams, if not the best team in the league, the Denver Nuggets. When it's all said and done, the Spurs are right there with them.
Yeah. Again, the Spurs did put up a fight. They were, I said win or lose, no matter what. I applaud this team because they put up a valiant fight, and I like to see that as well, considering they got routed by Denver in Denver in the last outing. And you got to wonder if the Spurs weren't coming off a back-to-back. Maybe we get a similar game out in the Mile High City as we got last night in San Antonio. But we're not done talking. We're going to dive into the box score now, and look at some numbers. What stands out for Rudy? What did he like when he read the stat sheet, and much, much more. But before we do that, I want to talk about Sweat Block. They are back, everybody. Yes, if you work out, I know probably Rudy needs it because he's been working out like a madman. You need Sweat Block. So, yeah, I go to the gym quite a bit, whether it's running or lifting. And, yeah, I think Sweat Block is there. It keeps me dry, keeps me protected, and whatnot. Yeah, it's a really good product. I hope everybody gets it. So, yeah, look, you got customer reviews. They love it. You go on the Amazon site. They get great reviews. They're like the secret to confidence, because they got not only deodorant, they also got the Sweat Block wipes. Another little secret to confidence. The Sweat Block wipes work up to 7 days per use. Yeah, they really protect you. Apply them on Sunday, you will stay dry all week. Yes, hard to believe, but they actually do that. So if you or someone you love is experiencing embarrassing sweat or odor, try Sweat Block. Save 20% with promo code LOCKEDON at sweatblock.com, also available on Amazon. We're back with Campos right here on Locked On Spurs. He is with Sweep the League. And we're recapping last night's gutty performance by the Spurs. Ultimately, they came up short, losing to Denver in San Antonio. And let's look at the box score now. Rudy, I'll let you take first crack at this. What stands out for you when you read the box score?
Well, the one thing that stands out to me was I was looking at every single statistical category and pretty much even across the board. That stands out to me because, the praises that Denver gets, being that they're considered one of the best teams in the league right now from top to bottom. To see an inexperienced Spurs team, a very young Spurs team, to be with them all throughout the game, everything almost matches. I mean, you're talking 14 steals for both teams, assists was 31-33. Just overall the statistical part. I mean, if I had to pick one in particular, it's the assist. I'm seeing Spurs move the ball. That's going to be the way that they're going to have to win. It's a running good type offense. You've got to get a lot of assists. You got to move the ball. Ball movement's got to be great, and they're continuing to do that. But overall, the biggest standout is all of the statistical categories were just right there with the Nuggets.
Yeah, they were neck and neck. Rebounding. I think that's where Denver did have a little bit of an edge, 51-43 on San Antonio. But 3-point shooting, neck and neck, 36% for the Spurs, 33. Free throw percentage, 65% for Denver, 61% for the Spurs at the charity stripe. Blocks, just 2 more for Denver. Spurs had 5, 7-5. So they were there neck and neck, and again, putting up that fight until the wheels came off late in that fourth quarter. Now, one thing for me that jumped out is the contributions by Charles Bassey, the San Antonio guy that went to St. Anthony's High School. He got the call up, and he took advantage of his minutes and made the most of it. 15 minutes in the game versus Denver. He had 8 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, chipped in with 6 points, and went to the charity stripe twice, making 1 shot. For a guy that just got the call up to play with the big boys, not too bad for Charles Bassey, Rudy.
No, not bad at all. And, I know you always ask me about pumping the brakes on players, and this one I kind of want to just not necessarily pump the brakes, but I just want to tap them, only because Bassey's main role on a team is going to be that 4 position, that power forward. I still think he's not going to be a starting center. He's not going to be your big man of the future. I know he's going to have some great games, but him alongside a Jakob Poeltl would definitely go very, very far for this team. You saw the athletic ability Bassey brings you. Him and Jakob could be really good rim protectors. Maybe throw Sohan in there to be a very good defensive team. But overall, I loved what I saw out of Bassey tonight. Great appearance by the San Antonio Spurs. 16 minutes. He did a good amount in 16 minutes. I expect to see him get a lot more minutes, but I would love to see him next to Jakob in the next few games here, just to kind of see how that little pairing works out.
So about Jeremy Sohan, again, not the greatest of nights for him. 28 minutes, 1 for 4 shooting from the field, 25%. 2 points. Now, he did have 4 rebounds. He did do a little bit of that, a little bit of everything. 4 rebounds as mentioned, 2 assists, 2 steals, a block. Took two 3-point shots, missed them both. Again, we're seeing the rookie find his way through the league and showing the flashes what he can potentially be. I mean, Popovich called him Dennis Rodman light pregame. And again, although not a great offensive end, but he, again, chipping in a little bit here, a little bit there from the rookie, Rudy.
Yeah, and I get the vibe with Pop saying that he's like Dennis Rodman-esque type player. You kind of see that. I think where he's going to benefit for this first team is, like we've always said from the beginning, it's going to be defensive first for Jeremy Sohan. I mean, he had 2 steals tonight. He had a block. But as he starts to guard certain players, a la a Michael Porter or an Aaron Gordon, these guys are a little bit above notch of what players that he's normally guarding, lately. So he's going to get a feel. Michael Porter, very active on the offensive end, very quick. He's got to also understand he's going to probably guard guys like an Anthony Davis or even a LeBron from time to time. He's going to get a little bit of everything. Being it's his rookie season, he still has to develop, but he's going to primarily be that Dennis Rodman type player on the defensive side. I don't expect him to be a scorer. I don't expect him to improve his scoring and get, to where he's averaging 15, 16 a night. I fully expect him to be kind of like that Draymond Green type player, where he's just going to give you stats here and there. He's going to fill the stat sheet. He's not going to stand out to be, oh, he's going to be a two-way player or anything like that. He's just going to kind of be your Draymond of his NBA, where he's just going to kind of get you spots here and there where to get some points, but to be big on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. Again, Sohan just showing that he still needs more time in the cooking in the kitchen. He's not NBA ready yet, but hopefully down the road he will be, and we shall definitely see. But when we get back, I'm going to ask Rudy two things. He has to show me two things, and we're going to put a rule in it, Rudy. He cannot be Keldon Johnson. Two things that he liked out of an otherwise, disappointing loss for the Spurs. Nevertheless, Spurs lose 115-109. 4-game losing skid, 5-6 on the season. They'll play next the Memphis Grizzlies. Yikes! Good luck, Spurs. Hopefully, you show that fight again. But before we give Rudy the mic, I want to talk about Locked On Sports today. For your second listen after you check out Locked On Spurs, check out Locked On Sports today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights that only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts. I want to talk to you about betonline.net. It is your number one source for your sports betting information, stats, news, and analysis. Get all the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. From football to basketball to soccer to esports, you got it all at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those on BetOnline as well. They're fast, they're easy, and it's a great way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. We're back with Rudy Campos right here on Locked On Spurs, and it's time for him to play the game. Two things that he liked from the Spurs loss to Denver. Yes, the Spurs lost, but there was a little bit, there was a lot of it of silver linings and an otherwise loss. And Rudy, you cannot say Keldon Johnson. That's too easy. So go ahead. Two things that you liked.
Yeah, the Keldon thing I totally get. I mean, it's obvious 30 guys 30 points, but I'm going to highlight two players. Normally I go for the team stats, but I'm going to highlight two players. One of them we talked about earlier. First one is Trey Jones. I mean, 20 points on the night.
Yeah.
He did everything, 9 assists, 3 boards. I mean, he had 3 steals as well. Just coming in and taking over that point guard spot. Everybody thought, well, DeJounte Murray gone, what's going to happen at the point? I really felt at the beginning of the season Trey Jones was going to step in and really make an impact. He's good enough to do that. Again, he's not going to be good enough to get your team to a title or anything like that, but he's gonna give you what you need night in and night out. He's that typical Spurs point guard player. I really like his game, and he's really doing a great job this year. The other guy is Jakob Poeltl. I mean, yeah, 4 points. You're thinking, why in the hell are you picking Jakob Poeltl 4 points? It's the other stuff. I saw 7 boards. I saw 9 assists from Jakob, 3 blocks, 2 steals. He's doing it a lot this year, and I'm really liking it. He doesn't have to score the ball a whole lot this season. I like what he's doing on the defensive end. When are we going to finally talk about Jakob being literally one of the best defenders in the league?
Yeah.
I kind of think that he gets overlooked a lot. Tonight's game shows that he's a reason why he should be considered one of the better defenders in the league. Again, 3 blocks, 2 steals, but that 9 assists. I mean, it just makes his value, if you are looking to trade him, just go that much higher.
Are you still on the fence whether he's going to finish the season as a Spur, or do you still think he might get dealt?
If you're asking me right now, I think he finishes the season as a San Antonio Spur. I don't see him being dealt at all. I mean, there's really nobody left on the big man side other than Zach Collins and Gorgie Jang, which I really think Pop's going to keep Jakob for the remainder of the year.
Yeah, he is. People forget this is a contract season for him. This is it. As of right now, there's been no negotiations reportedly. So, the Spurs could either re-up him or see him walk away for nothing or trade him. Yeah, that trade deadline is going to be interesting, but that's still months and months away. For me, two things I like. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted real quick on the Jakob thing. The reason why I say is because if you keep him throughout the year, it's an insurance policy. Because if you get the first, you get Wemby, then you have an option to let Jakob walk, or you do sign and trade. You can sign his contract, trade him away for an asset. But if you don't land that number one pick, you still have him. You can re-sign him, and you still have your starting center for the future. He's still relatively young, so he's a great insurance policy, and that's the reason why I say he doesn't go anywhere this season.
Absolutely. I still think he gets dealt. If unless he gives indications to the Spurs that he wants to stay, but barring that, I would hope the Spurs get him for something. I hope, but again, that's a bridge we'll cross when the trade deadline comes and goes. Two things that I liked: I like the fight, the spirit. I like the fact they didn't back down from Denver throughout the game. And the other thing I like too is that they learned to listen. They learned they gotta take care of the ball. They gotta learn to play 4 quarters of basketball, not 3 and 3/4, not 3.5. They gotta play it all. That fourth quarter was the difference, and that's what put them away. They talk a lot about starting games outright and how they want to be the ones that punch teams in the mouth, that they want to come out of the gate, but they also got to learn too that they got to finish the game as well. So hopefully they learned a lot of lessons on that front. But yeah, otherwise, Spurs pick up the L. It was a fun game, but Team Tank, you're loving this 4-game losing skid. So one step closer to that 14% to get Wemby. By the way, have you been seeing Wemby play? There's sometimes, Rudy, I look at him play and like, oh, yo, Spurs, you might want to rack up the L's.
I mean, you got a generational talent, man, and it's something that he's a special player. You definitely hope he's in silver and black. But if not, and you're number 2, I mean, you can't go wrong with Scoot either. I mean, Scoot does fill a void that you have on the roster. So either one of those guys would be great, but you definitely want Wemby. You cannot want that more if you're a Spurs fan. Like, that's the one guy you want.
I've asked you before, but I just want to double check. You think Wemby is one of those players that can transform the Spurs overnight? Like Merrill Robinson did it for the Spurs, 20-win season to a 50-game, Duncan the same thing, 20-something season to a 50-game. Is he like that kind of talent?
Yes.
Wow.
Definitely. So I don't think say they win 22 games. I don't expect them to fully win 55 games the next year, what we saw the Robinson era, or even the Tim Duncan era when he came in. He turned that team around, even though Robinson was hurt. But I think they go from a 22-win team to possibly 44, 43, right around there. So
that's not bad.
Definitely a playoff team. But what really does more than anything is it opens up Devin and Keldon just that much more, because when you got a guy like that commanding the paint, wow. I mean, there's so much more for everybody else to benefit from. So everybody gets to eat if you get Victor Wembanyama.
Absolutely. We're done talking. We want to hear from you. What did you think about last night's Spurs loss? Tough one, but they definitely showed they got a lot of dog, each and every single one of these young Bucks. And what did you like from the game? And are you Team Tank? Are you cheering these L's right now? 4 games straight of losses? Yeah, let us know. You can let Rudy know on Twitter at Sweep the League. And speaking of Sweep the League, what you got cooking over there, Rudy?
Yeah, last night we released had another great guest. We're just talking about Spurs, man. And it was the big topic, but also some Cowboy talk. Yeah, we got into some Cowboy talk. We debated on whether this Cowboys team is Super Bowl worthy, and if Dak Prescott could become a winning Super Bowl quarterback. FYI, in my opinion, hell no, he's not. But yeah, just follow us on Sweep the League. It's every single Monday night we release the episode.
Oh, Rudy, you're playing with fire there. You're playing with fire. He loves it. Yeah. Now, another reason you to follow him, everybody, especially if you're a Cowboys fan, at Sweep the League on Twitter. And we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day, as always. And you can find us on the Odyssey app, the YouTube page, the Kens 5 Plus app, kens5.com/Spurs. We're there. Now, for your second listen, check out Locked On Sports Today podcast again. The biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day, also available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts. So for Rudy, he hates the Cowboys, Campos. I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock in this episode of Locked On Spurs.